How's it going, everyone? Welcome to week 2 here of the semester as we're moving through Japanese cultures. And this week, we're looking at place, region, trying to understand. If we're going to talk about Japan for the next 16 weeks, I think it's important to kind of know where things are in Japan. If we refer to regions or watch videos or do readings, if they mention places, I think it's important to kind of have a sense of geography and geology and topography. What are all these features of Japan that make it, unique? Because it is an island, it is unique. It's got a lot of geological, topographical, features that make it what it is. Particularly, sort of this volcanic. I showed that sort of fault plate where Japan sits on these faults, the Pacific plate, sort of the circle of fire, rim of fire. So a lot of volcanic activities, a lot of earthquake activities, a lot of tsunami issues, as was evident almost about 10 years ago. Tohoku up north, Sendai and Fukushima. Right. So now you kind of know where those things are. Hopefully you've had a chance to go through the lectures there. The first one lecture is just kind of gives you the overview there. 5 main islands there, 8 sort of regions, and then 47 prefectures, which, you don't really need to know all the prefectures, but they're all divided. One thing to remember about the prefectures, and again, we can't go into all of this, but if you ever go to Japan, I mean, each prefecture is sort of like, it's sort of like its own state. So they have their own, identity, their own. I think every prefecture has its own like little mascot. So there's a lot of cool things about them. And similarly, if you were from one, you would have, obviously a very strong connection to those regions. So that's the region stuff. The assignment this week is just pick a place, pick a region, and talk about it. Again, another Padlet presentation there. If you've gone somewhere in Japan that you think is really interesting, share it. This is a chance for that. If there's a place you want to go, this is a chance for you to kind of do a little bit of research about it. Just kind of go in there, do a little research, find out what you might think, and share with the class, sort of the Padlet. That's kind of what I did with the Japanese food one, which I looked at. It's up there. I put it in the student resources file, so you can take a look at it. A lot of good foods there. I made comments on everyone's. I think one of the points there is that a lot of people saw that like a lot of Japanese food is sort of influenced from other places, but then made very Japanese. So I think that's we'll see that a lot within Japanese history. That a lot of things come in Japan, but then get Japanified, if you will. Food, cuisine, some fashion. We'll see all of that, technology, things like that we'll see over the course of the semester. Also in the student resources folder, there are sub modules, they call them here. The student announcements, I talk about there's some scholarship stuff, some internship stuff, and then I just added 2 today. Lunar New Year, we're going to have a celebration on Minono campus Wednesday, January 29th, I think. And then Saturday, February 1st, is the Waimea Cherry Blossom Festival, which, if you're into Japanese culture, that's sort of the Japanese culture of this island. So take a look at that. Things, other announcements. Which kind of, I went through the other ones. Just again, kind of briefly trying to give you a sense of different regions. I didn't even cover all of them. 2 that I think that you should be familiar with, and I always get these backwards, so I forgot them written down, as the Kanto region, which is Tokyo, and Yokohama. They have their own. I mean, that's kind of like a sub-region within itself. Obviously, very urban. In fact, I think I talked about in that lecture. If you're on the train, it's very hard you don't really know where one city ends and the other city begins. It's all kind of this huge urban megapolis there. But they also have. I mean, Kanto region has its own sort of culture, which is very different than the Kansai region, which the other major sort of urban world of Osaka, Kobe, and Kyoto. And there's definitely some cultural differences there. Most people I know are from the Kanto region. They always say the Kansai, the Osaka, they're much louder. They're more kind of, more lively, talk more business oriented, right? Where Kanto is sort of a little more reserved, conservative. So there's definitely some cultural things there. But in most of the time, if you go to Japan, when you fly into Narita, Haneda, or in Tokyo area, whereas Osaka, I can't remember their airport name, but it's down there. So yeah, just a little difference there. And then Okinawa, Kyushu, as well down south, Hokkaido up north, all the different ones. Kyushu, I talked about. There's the temple here to this guy named Tenjin. Here he is here. This is Sugawara Michizane, who was a real person, but then became sort of this kami god. We'll talk about all this when we get into Shintoism and the Heian period of what are these kamis. But he becomes sort of this god of knowledge and education. So if you have a test, you would make a little prayer to Tenjin here. I got this at his main temple is in Kyushu because that's where he was banished to, but he has temples all over. Tenjin has temples. This one was Kamakura that we visited. So yeah, that's kind of the major stuff. And then the last one is just the reading, which I think fits really well with this topics of this week. Is Kisetsu, the ideas of seasons, describes Japanese seasons. They have all of the seasons that we, sort of the Western season, though I think they have an extra one, the rainy season, during the typhoon periods. The other big thing there that really talks about like how rice agriculture and the rhythm of agriculture really affected Japanese culture. It's still effective seen today in ways of dress. We'll see that when we talk about family relations. But also architecture. A lot of Japanese houses, even today, even the older houses are you see this sort of the way the houses are built is for the seasons to accommodate those hot and cold, rainy, right? They're all sort of elevated off the ground. So you see that. And then also literature, which we'll talk about, and we're going to get into Japanese literature as well. But seasons play a major role in literature. The different seasons harken different emotions, and that plays into festivals as well. And then the last little part of that, which I think plays in well with what we talked about last week, is food. That seasonal foods are very important in Japan. So that's that. Upload your Padlet by Friday at 4. Great. Have a good rest of your week.